you grow up, Cole?
I grew up in Louisville, not necessarily a part of Louisville. I grew up in Louisville as a whole. I moved around a lot. So, and in doing so, uh, you know, I grew into who I am today. I was a drug-induced spirit, and within the past few months, I have became the spirit I was meant to be instead of a drug-induced spirit and a reflection of something that I wasn't. I've had drugs and alcohol around me ever since I was, as far as I can remember. Um, uh, for me, drugs started when I was in the first grade. I'm gonna keep it on me. Uh, my mom put me on Ritalin, which was advised by the school. And ever since I was a kid, once I let go of that feeling of the medication I was on, uh, it seemed like I was always searching for that feeling again. And I dabbled in just about every drug that you can think of to find that feeling again and to find, I guess, who I was looking for. It was just the wrong path. It didn't lead me to finding myself. It led me to finding nothing, an emptiness, a lonely man sitting by himself in a truck smoking methamphetamines.
So now, did you have did you come from a big family or a small family?
Um, I'd say a small family. We didn't have like, your normal family reunions, anything like that. Um, Up until I was 12, it was a pretty tight knit family. My siblings, my mom and my dad. Um, and we seen some of the relatives, but it wasn't nothing like, it'd be sometimes years before we would see each other or talk to the other siblings and of my dad and my mother. It was real tight knit. And then when I was about 12, my mom and dad split up, and I was kind of put in a tough situation. I had to grow up fast because both my parents were working two jobs, and they didn't have time to really be a parent to me. You know what I'm saying? They was trying to fix their relationship and fix themselves, and we kind of got lost in the shuffle. Me and my brother and my sister. I mean, they tried as much as they could or when they could. So I can't really damn them for anything. I never wanted for anything as far as other than, their love and, wanted them around, you know what I'm saying? But, so growing up was, it was rough for me. Not necessarily because of where I came from or the family was mean to me or anything like that. I mean, I've had stuff in my past, yeah, everybody does. But I think from that time when my mom and dad split up, I was really lost. I got really lost there, and it just led me down a tunnel and a road that was just dark. And, I tried to make the best of it. From the information I was given up until I was 12, if you're a man, if you get somebody pregnant, you marry them. You provide for them, provide for your family. So when I was 18, I got a girl pregnant. I had our first baby, got married. I was married to this girl for 24 years. And I thought that was love, providing, and I worked all the time. I worked daylight till dark. 90% of the time I was gone. And, I really didn't realize that I wasn't being a father to my kids the same way that, my father really wasn't a father to me as far as other than being a provider. You know, he never let me want for anything as far as that, but, you know, he just really wasn't there to kind of guide me through life. You know, I kind of had to do a lot of my own soul searching. And, you know, it ended up leading me down a road I didn't want to go.
So when we talk about the road you didn't want to go, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
So about in high school, you know, when all this happened, when I got married and all that stuff, prior to that, before she got pregnant, I got introduced to selling weed. And, you know, I flipped it quick and I made a lot of money. And by the time I got out of high school, I done, I done bought an apartment, furnished the whole apartment, had 2 cars, motorcycles, you know, and I thought I was doing the right thing because I was making money, you know what I mean? And it blew up real fast. By the time I was 20, they were kicking in the doors of the girl that I was married to's house, which cops rather. They were, you know, they kicked in the doors, and I had a friend of mine that called and told me they were on the way to the house and to get everything out. And so I did so. I got everything and I put it in the garbage can, and I sat on my balcony and watched this garbage can until nightfall. And I went back and got what I had left. I had 10 pounds of weed left, and I took it and sold it. And I stopped for about 10 years after that. I didn't do anything else. I got into doing construction with my brother, and that became my drug. That's why I worked nonstop, daylight till dark. I worked for a company called anyway, I worked for this place for about, I guess, 7 years until I learned the trade pretty well. And then I went out on my own and started working for myself. And had about 17 guys working for me after 6 months of being in business. I quickly realized that that was more than I could handle. So I reduced the business down to 6 people when I worked with them every day. Made quite a bit of money legally, and there was no funny business. And then me and my wife started having problems at home. And let's see, I guess I was about, I was probably 28 when this happened. And when that started happening, I just started distancing myself from her. I started distancing myself from everything that I had going for me. I shut my business down, moved out of the house, and I got into doing methamphetamines. And I was real heavy into doing methamphetamines because it numbed me. I didn't have those feelings that I was feeling at that time, of really, I guess, losing her, losing control of what I thought I had control of. So in the meantime of getting into methamphetamines, I got in contact with my cousin, which, come to find out, he was into methamphetamines too. And so we started hanging out, and, and dabbling, selling a little bit here, a little bit there. And we got the plug, as they call it. And we started doing the same thing that I did prior to when I was selling weed, and we started selling large amounts of methamphetamines.
So you said you got the plug. What is the
The plug would be, I had the dealer. I had the source of all the meth that I wanted, or really any drug that I wanted. And I started distributing. We did, and it didn't last very long. It was fun when I first got into it. It lasted about a year, and both him and I ended up in prison. I didn't spend a whole lot of time. I was fortunate. I went through 6 months of HIP. Went through 6 months of prison, and COVID actually got me out. My cousin, he served 5 years. He just got out recently. He and we, the thing is when he got out, we really haven't really spoke to each other a whole lot or hung out a whole lot. I guess both of us had a sense of that it was trouble if we did. So we've separated from each other. I mean, I still call him to check on him from time to time, but he's back in the madness, and I chose a different route.
So you said COVID got you out. How did COVID?
So I didn't have a violent charge. I just had a drug charge. So with COVID, they were trying to, I guess, eliminate so many inmates, you know what I'm saying, so the COVID wouldn't spread throughout the jails. So if you didn't have a violent offense, they would let you would be offered like shock pro or whatever, probation. So I took shock, and which I'm still on probation now till this day. I've got another year left, and then I'll be off probation. But in the meantime, I've been on probation for 4 years. So next year will be my last. I've caught several charges while I was on probation. I went through an IOP, and I thought I was cured. I thought that was all I needed. That IOP, and I was done. And it wasn't a day later after I graduated IOP, I was smoking meth again.
So what is an IOP?
Intensive outpatient care. That's right. Yeah. So basically, I would go there 3 times a week for 4 hours a week or 4 hours a day, and they did drug testing every time that I showed up there. So you had to be clean. That was at that time. That was the longest I'd ever been clean in my life without any mind-altering drug in my system.
How long now have you been clean?
I've been clean 107 days, I think it is. Yeah. When I got to my 3 months of being clean this time, I didn't think of it as a graduation or an end date. It's just a continuation. So I celebrated. Yeah, I was glad that I made it there, but I knew I got a lot more work to do, and that I can't lose focus of what I've got going for me. And I didn't, I had a spiritual awakening while in this process, and I really have just stayed locked in with it. You know what I mean? It's been great. I've had nothing but positive things happen to me since I've had this spiritual awakening. Since I'm doing the best I can to follow His lead, which is the Father. And it's been great.
Do you still have challenging days?
Yes, I do. And it's, I got the monkey off my back. Now I just had to deal with the circus, which is up here. Getting clean and sober is not just about, stop doing drugs. It's a way of life. It's it's different than what I had built myself up to be prior to. I actually get to be myself now and show people what I was hiding for a long time. I thought I had to hide the person I was. I didn't want anybody to hurt that person, my innocence, my child in me. And now I don't mind showing them who I am or how I got to where I am today, really.
So how do you deal with the those challenging days? What's your process for dealing with them challenging days?
I say the serenity prayer a lot. The serenity prayer is something that when I get excited or if I get mad or if I get any kind of emotion comes over me, I say it several times until it calms me, until I center myself. And it usually helps for me. I don't know if that will work for anybody else, but I know it works for me.
How do you occupy your days?
I occupy my days with meetings, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, um, fellowshipping with friends, making friends, speaking on my strengths, my hopes, and how I got here, my weaknesses too. I just, I don't mind speaking about any of it. I used to. I was scared to tell anything, because I thought somebody was going to judge me or they was going to use that against me every time I said anything, and that comes with my first marriage, really. Because whenever I told her anything, she always turned it around on me. She would use it on me later on in our marriage at some point. If I said, it didn't matter what it was, anything that I said, it was, it would pop back up in an argument. Well, I couldn't deal with that. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that anymore.
So now you say you have children or a child.
I have two.
Two.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you in their life?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
While I was doing methamphetamines and doing the hard drugs that I was doing prior to a few months ago when I came into recovery, I was not in their life. I didn't, and it was partially for me and partially for them. I didn't want them to see me like that, and I didn't want to bring that lifestyle into their lives. So I didn't really talk to anybody. You could call me several times, and most likely you're not going to get an answer unless you send me a text and it's something that I feel like I need to text back with. But as far as talking to me like we are right now, that was definitely hard to do.
So do you think it's important for you to be in their life at this point, or?
Oh, absolutely. Yesterday, Most High revealed something to me, family, and I was thinking, I watched a movie, it's called Blood In, Blood Out. And prior to me getting in recovery, that meant something totally different to me. And I watched it again just yesterday, and it made me think of God, and that His blood runs through each and every one of us. We're all family, and that's why I try to help as many people as I can, and tell my story and talk to people and, whatever I can do to help them, I don't mind. And it was so freely given to me, so why shouldn't I give it to someone else?
For anybody who actually ends up seeing this, what is it that you would hope that they would take away from this?
The spiritual part of it, more than anything, because finding yourself is everything. And if you search and if you really have any kind of faith, even the slightest, just a smidgen of faith, and follow that and, try to find out who you are, who you are inside, the person that God meant you to be, you're going to have a whole lot more success on what you're doing in life. He is life. He is love.
Where are you in your life as far as relationship status now?
Relationship status now, since my spiritual awakening and working the steps in Alcoholics Anonymous and everything, I found love. I found love for myself, and I found love for the first time, to be honest with you, in my spouse that I'm with now. She is my better half. We were out there in the madness together. I tried to push her away several times, I don't know. I honestly don't even know why. I just was, I guess because I wasn't okay with myself. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't think anybody else should be okay with me. And she never left me. It took God and an officer intervening and putting her away for a little bit for me to be sitting in a truck by myself smoking methamphetamines, and I stopped right in the middle of smoking, and I haven't touched it since. I think it was right then that, I thought I did it by myself. I was like, oh yeah, I went into recovery myself, but no, it wasn't. It was God carrying me to recovery. He's like, hey, you've had enough. Let's do something different.
So what is the future hold for Cole? What is the perfect tomorrow for
The
you?
perfect tomorrow, just peace. Peace with me, peace with her, peace with the people that were, everybody I've touched throughout life. You know what I'm saying? My wife, I don't wish no bad on her. My ex-wife, I hope she finds happiness. I wasn't the person that would make her happy. She's got to be that person. If you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to make anybody else happy. In 2002, I had a motorcycle wreck. My foot got smashed in between two motorcycles, and the brake lever ripped out the arch of my foot. And at that time, I had 12 surgeries. And I wouldn't take any blood. I didn't want to, I didn't want somebody else's blood in me. They had a whole lot. I was heavily medicated and whatnot. And I was sitting in a third floor apartment that I had with my wife at the time, but I was all by myself. And I called my parents to help me, because I had this big halo around my leg and I was really weak. And I had to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't. And I can remember sitting there, and I couldn't move. I had no energy. I had nothing. There was nothing to wheel me off that couch. There's nothing. I tried to crawl to the restroom, and I pissed all over myself. And right then, I felt like God was damning me for something, or like, what did I do to you? And it wasn't. It really wasn't. And I can see that now. Everything that happened to me in my past is a blessing, just like all the blessings I'm getting now. It made me who I am today. And I just want to keep on finding out who I am. I don't want to stop that process. So I'm gonna stick with faith and do the research on myself and him, and just keep trying to do things his way.